Warning, this podcast may be disturbing to some listeners. Due to the graphic nature, listener discretion is advised. Welcome from wherever you are. This is the Demon Inside podcast. I am your host, John Venom. If you would like to review another episode of the Demon Inside, you can go to Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and any podcast platform. And please, don't forget to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars. A new episode will come out once a week. We will be right back after a word from our sponsors. I am doing this show pretty much raw and without editing. So if you could bear with me on the season finale, I'll explain why. But before I do that, let me let you know this. This episode is dedicated to a very good friend of mine, Katarina, who is a Austin police sergeant, and she listens to my show, and I promised her a shout out, and I'm dedicating this episode to her. Hello, my Demon Insiders, and welcome back to the Demon Inside. I'm your host, John Venom, and today we actually have 2 cases that we're going to talk about. The first one is going to be the Demon Inside, William Butler, and the second one is going to be Gary Wayne Lesley Jr. Now, before I begin, this is the season finale, and I had finished the season finale, but in recent days, I actually lost all of my recordings, everything that I've ever done, all the information I ever had on not only my computer, but my tablets and also my backup files that were on a disk. And so this is the season finale of season 2, and I'm re-recording it. And as I'm re-recording it, Lesley Jr. Came up, and I started to figure out that this could be also one of the patterns that I've been looking for this whole time. And it kind of fills in some of the gaps. But before we do all that, let me tell you this too. These 2 cases do not have a lot of information. I'm going to give you what I have, and I did a deep dive on both of these cases, and I really couldn't find too much. I couldn't find any recordings of any news media. I couldn't find any history of or background checks on or any of that. So I'm going to give you as much as I can, as much as I have as far as news on it. And it's not a lot, but it's enough to fill the gaps of what I'm trying to talk about here as far as the pattern goes. But let's get into the first one first. The first one is going to be the first one is going to be William Butler. Now, this happened in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and William Butler, on October 25th of 2016, killed his wife, his daughter, his son, and the second son actually got away from him. And then he ended up killing himself. So, according to records and according to what I could find, and it's not even according to records, it's according to what I found out on news feeds, or not news feeds, but the printed news, was that William Butler was 46 years old on October 25th of 2016, and at 5:45 a.m., the police department received a phone call from a 17-year-old, which was his son. And his son said that his dad had killed his sister, his brother, and his mom. Now, during that argument or fight, the police show up. They end up finding William Butler, his wife, who was 43 years old, his son, who was 20, and his daughter, Caitlin, who was 14. Now, William had a background, and a not very good one. Like I told you on the last episodes, Patrick Dale and Don Spirit had very bad backgrounds. These were not good guys. They were very violent, but life-taking types of men, it wasn't in their forte. But this guy was the same. This guy had a background of being violent to the point where his daughter, the 14-year-old, had complained about it before, and police had been involved with their family for a while now. A few years earlier, he had got into a fight with his wife and took away her keys because he thought that she was doing drugs and that she was a Satan worshiper, and he didn't want her to take away his daughter. Then we go 2 years later where he ends up killing the family. Now, he ended up shooting himself and killing himself, and the police went in and they found a knife and they found the shotgun. Now, this is similar to Don Spirit because Don Spirit, remember, he stabbed his wife or his daughter first. Don stabbed his daughter first, and then he shot her and killed her. William killed his wife by stabbing her with a knife, and then he killed his 2 kids with a gun, and then he killed himself. Like I said, this guy wasn't a very good guy. His daughter had actually complained about him. She says that it's because of him that she would cut herself. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know, because I've known kids that have cut themselves before, and they lived in an entirely great family. So what she was going through, I'm not saying that she didn't. I'm just saying that mental health is something that people need to be aware of. And if this guy was saying that his wife was into devil worshiping, they should have started looking into his mental health. Now, I know a lot of people can't afford it, and there's other people that feel like it's a bad thing to go to counseling and things like that, but it's better than this case. It's better than going and killing your family. So this happened in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, which is almost all the way across Florida from the opposite side of where Don Spirit was at in Bell, Florida. This happened October 25th, 2016. Then we come to our next case. Our next case, like I said, I just found it, and I started doing as much background as I could. And this was it was Gary Wayne Lindsay Jr. Now, Gary Wayne Lindsay Jr. was a bad guy as well. From what people talked about as far as on the news media, they said that he had been involved in criminal activity for a long time. He was actually under suspicion for arson. He was on probation at the time that this happened. This case happened in Orlando, Florida on June 12, 2018. And he killed 4 kids. 2 were his own, 2 were his wife's, And they're such a cute family, guys. It's so sad. They range from age from 1 to 12. And when the police arrived at the apartment, Lindsay was still alive. They don't think the kids were alive anymore, but he was saying they were. And when he ended up killing himself, they rushed in and they found all of them had been dead. On Sunday night, Orlando police received a call from a woman who said Lindsay was her boyfriend and that he had battered her during an argument. She had fled the apartment after he attacked her and called police from a nearby restaurant. When officers arrived at the apartment, Lindsay opened fire on them. He actually shot a police officer. Officer Valencia was seriously injured. Lindsay barricaded himself in the apartment with the 4 children. Police negotiators spoke to him several times during what would become 21-hour standoff. At the end of this 21-hour standoff, Lindsay shot himself. Now, the police think that the kids were already dead by this time. They found Lindsay dead in a closet. Now, this was pretty much all the information I could find on this case. And this happened, like I said, on June 12, 2018. And now, again, like I said, this happened in Orlando, Florida. And for me, this kind of fits the pattern because this happened in 2018. And like I've been talking to you about Paul Michael Marish, who he committed his crime on November 26th of 2009. Remember, he left Miami and drove all the way to Jupiter, Florida, where he ended up killing his family. And where he killed his family, Austin Haroff killed his victims 3 miles away from there. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to try to explain this. And like I said, these are the 2 crimes that happened. But I want to get more into the pattern. So as far as true crime, I have given you the two true crimes. I've given you the names. If you want to look them up, go for it. But I have to put this all together for my show as a pattern. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to try to do that for you. And we're going to take it slowly because I see the pattern in my head, but I'm trying to get it out there to you so that you can see it for yourself. Now, the way I see it is like this. If a demon, let's just call the demon Family Annihilator Demon, FID, F-I-D, or Family Annihilator Demon, F-A-D, FAD. So let's call this demon Fad. Fad shows up November 26, 2009 in Miami. Fad drives from Miami to Jupiter, Florida, where he kills. Now, I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want to get everybody confused. So I'm going to portray it through the eyes of this demon, okay? Then Fad drives all the way down to the Florida Keys, where the police pick him up and they drive him back to Jupiter, Florida. Then, January 23rd of 2010, Fad goes to Del Rey and kills a family, which is Neil Jacobson's family. Then Fad, September 27th of 2010, goes to West Palm Beach, which is Riviera, and kills Patrick Dell's family. Then September 18th, 2014, Fad kills Don Spirit's family in Bell, Florida. Then Fad goes to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where he kills William Butler's family, October 25th, 2016. And then he goes to Orlando, Florida, where he kills Gary Wayne Lindsay Jr.'s family, June 15th, 2018. Now, if you look at it like this, don't look at it in times of years. Look at it in minutes. Demons have a different time frame than we do. Demons have no time. So for me, in order to show you what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you how his dog follows behind him if he was a person. And if these years were taken into seconds or minutes, okay? So Thad is in Miami and then goes to Delray and then goes to West Palm Beach and then Belle, Florida. Now, between West Palm Beach and Florida, in 2012, in Miami, the doggy comes out of its home. So the Thad is actually Thad is actually 5 minutes ahead of doggy. So now the doggy has to catch his scent and follow Thad. So the doggy starts in Miami, where he takes Rudy Eugene, and then he ends up in Ennis and Joseph 2 years later, which is actually 2 minutes later, in Delray. Then in Jupiter, Florida in 2016, in Austin Haroff, where Thad had gone from Don Spirit in Belle, Florida, to William Butler at Fort Walton Beach. Now, Fort Walton Beach is all the way across. So the doggy is following up to Jupiter, Florida. Then I think Master, or Thad, sees his doggy has come looking for him, and he comes back towards Orlando, Florida, where doggy is in Jupiter and Master is in Fort Walton, and they meet in Orlando, Florida, where Gary Wayne Lindsay kills his family. Now, from Orlando, Florida, what happens? Doggy and Thad get together. And this is where I put these two demons, whether one's a doggy, one's a master, whatever, it doesn't matter. Thad and doggy, just to make it easier, meet in Orlando, Florida, and they hitch a ride from the Montgomery Biscuits and Tampa Bay Rays. Now, all this is in Orlando, which is the Tampa Bay Rays, their baseball league. It's a minor league. And Blake Blevins was part of this league where he was probably in these areas. I know he was playing for the Montgomery Biscuits, which is owned by the Tampa Bay Rays, and he was getting ready to be promoted as a pitcher to the Tampa Bay Rays, which is in Orlando. So I believe that if it wasn't with Blake Blevins, it could have been with anybody from that team. It could have been anybody in the stands. It could have been anybody from that baseball society or anything that is related. And this demon traveled up to Montgomery and then all the way up to Matthew Bernard on August 27th, 2019. Now, if you don't remember Matthew Bernard, I suggest going back and listening to my show from back then, because back then I had where I was showing you how this dog, this beast, this demon, whatever, went from Rudy Eugene in 2012 to Ennis and Joseph, February 2014, Austin Haroff, August 15, 2016, which was 2 years apart. Then they go to Matthew Bernard. Now, I counted from August 15th of 2016 to August 27th, 2019, which is 2 years exactly to the day. This is when Matthew Bernard gets fed into him, goes in, shoots his family, then runs out into the woods where Doggy is playing in the woods, and the doggy gets into Matthew, and that's why Matthew comes running out naked and trying to bite the face off of people. I know, guys, this is hard to accept, but this is my pattern. This is a pattern that I found because I was following the doggy first. And to me, it didn't sit well that there was 2 separate types of demons in Matthew Bernard. For me, the 2 demons are Thad and this doggy. And even back then, I told everybody that I knew there was 2 demons. I just couldn't figure out what the other demon was. Now I know that it was Thad who came up from Miami all the way up, and little doggy followed him. I know this is hard to believe, guys. I really do. Because me doing this show has been really hard for me to believe. Because honestly, guys, when I first started this show, I wasn't expecting to find patterns. I wasn't expecting to find more than 1 or 2, weird cases. I wasn't expecting to find anything. But after all these shows later, it's hard to deny that there's something there. Maybe I'm seeing my pattern and maybe you guys see something different. And that's okay. If you see something different, let me know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I've had people tell me, look at the geography of it, which I have started. Some people have told me, look at the dates, look at the times. They mean something. I am willing to take suggestions of what you want. Now, if you're going to tell me that demons do not exist, then that's something completely different, because it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. There's still a pattern to this. And for me, as an investigator, as somebody that has done crime cases before, murders, robberies, rapes, things like that, there's always a pattern, and you cannot deny the pattern, and you cannot say that it's coincidence, because there is no such thing as coincidence. These things happen because there's a reason for them to happen, and I believe the reason is a demon. And in this case, it's 2 demons. And I believe that, and I don't want to get too spiritual on you, but I believe that my whole end of this season was deleted from my stuff so that I can redo this case and fill in all the gaps that I wanted. And that's why I took the time to put in this next guy, Gary, because I felt like he is part of the pattern, and I do not want it to get away. I want to show you the whole pattern. If you want to look up the pattern, I am serious with this. Look up the locations that I have told you and see how they go all the way up to Matthew Bernard. We're talking from Miami to Delray to Jupiter, and then we go further north to Orlando, and we go all the way across to Fort Walton. This is not something that I'm trying to connect. This is something that connects because it is connecting. Now, before I finish this season off, let me tell you one thing. There is going to be a season 3, and I will be doing season 3 coming in October. And if you don't remember, and I know I've got you on these patterns, and I know I got you with Doggy, and I got you with Thad, the master, don't forget Colin Sheck. Remember that guy? Remember that case? Colin Sheck was the guy that bit the face off of somebody in Las Vegas. You thought I forgot about that. Or maybe you forgot about that. But Colin Sheck started in San Diego, California, before he went out to Las Vegas a few days later, where he bit the face off of somebody. And guess who was in San Diego that same year that happened? You damn right it was. It was Thad, the master. He was in San Diego killing another family with a gun as a man and more than one kid. We're talking wife and children. If you don't believe me, just listen next season when I start in October for season 3. Thank you guys for listening to my series. I hope you all enjoyed this season. And if y'all have any questions or anything, I suggest you send me an email at the Demon Inside Podcast at gmail.com. And if you want to buy t-shirts that I've actually have, go to tpublic.com and look up the Demon Inside Podcast. And I have an arrangement of t-shirts that you guys might enjoy. You can also go to my website, which is the Demon Inside Podcast .transistor.fm. The Demon Inside Podcast .transistor.fm. If you come onto my website, you'll see every place that my merchandise is, where all my shows are. I pretty much have everything on there, and I'm trying to get more stuff. So if you bear with me, remember I'm doing this alone. I really don't have anybody to help me with this, and I really don't have funding for it, but I'm giving it a try. And like I said, in October, I'll have some new shows for you. For this summer, I hope you guys have a good summer. Be safe. Don't get into anything troubling, or at least too much trouble. And take care of yourselves. And hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll have a new book that I can publicize next year. And I would love for you guys to read it. So take care. And thank you again for having such a great season. Don't forget to subscribe to the Demon Inside Podcast on any podcast platform. A new episode of the Demon Inside will be released every week. Let us know what you think of the episode on all our social media platforms. If you have any questions or comments, go to the Demon Inside Podcast at gmail.com or click on the link down below. We would love to hear from you. And to become a Demon Insider, go to our website, thedemoninsidepodcast.com. We thank you for listening and hope you will join us next week for a new Demon Inside Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends. I am John Venom, and I'll see you next time, if I don't get possessed. The Demon Inside was written and created by James Porter. It is a production of Venomous Entertainment. Background music is by Lucas King. And the title song, Demon Inside, was produced by Rice Pulver, composer lyricist Peter Shelley, and performed by Conjure One.